college football podcast for everyone and everyone else. I'm your host, John Buhler, lead writer, fansided.com. I'm joined today by a man who only works at Fansided to gain important information on Everest the Yeti and other noted Sasquatches. He only moved to New Mexico because he believes Area 51 is his God-given zip code. Cody Williams, content director, fansided.com. Elvis isn't dead. He just went home. How are you, Agent C?
Dude, also, I mean, he's at home with Tupac. He's at home with, JFK. There's a whole house of these folks who are not actually dead. I didn't bring my tinfoil hat today, but may as well. I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and I did. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Watchmen, so I just basically took Wade Tillman and Looking Glass.
Hey, man, honestly, we're talking conspiracies. Let's just say if all the radio waves trying to get in your head, nah, you're not going to let it.
No, I'm not. As I've stated before, this is the first of its kind episode. This is the Big Dumper.
The Big Dumper. Shouts to Cal Raleigh, Cullowhee,
Yeah.
North Carolina's finest.
He has no idea we're recording this show, but we are doing it. And
That's right.
The show is kind of inspired by him, but mostly from Cody Williams. Basically, what we're going to do is go through every conference, every Power Four conference, the Group of Five, and then the playoffs. And we're going to throw out our biggest conspiracy theory heading into the season that we kind of sort of actually believe. We'll throw it back and forth, and we'll be like, what do you like about it? Where'd you lose me? How do we make this better?
That's right.
Without further ado, we just fall started. Let's move on with our first and 15 with It Don't Mean Enough, the SEC.
Yes, sir.
I've been talking a lot. You go first. What's your big conspiracy theory?
My conspiracy is that on a national level, the national college football big brother at large does not want Lane Kiffin to succeed because Ole Miss is a better college football playoff contender than Alabama, than LSU, than Texas A&M, and then Florida as well. Okay. When you look at the odds boards, Ole Miss is behind Alabama, LSU, and Texas A&M in terms of to win the SEC, which obviously would get you into the college football playoff. And they also have worse odds to make it to the college football playoff. When I look at this Ole Miss team and I look at this schedule, I don't see why that's the case. And this feels like a big conspiracy against Lane Kiffin. Let's go and look at Ole Miss's schedule and look what they have to navigate to make the college football playoff. You open with Georgia State. That's a win. You go on the road to Kentucky. I understand you lost that game. That makes me more confident that Lane Kiffin's not going to F around when they go to Lexington. Then you go to Arkansas. You get 2 SEC wins in the first 3 weeks of the season, essentially. And that's not something that most programs can say for themselves. Then you have to host Tulane. We're high on Tulane. I obviously have picked Tulane just I don't remember if it was earlier this week or last week, earlier this week it was, to go to the college football playoff out of the G5. I still think Ole Miss is a better team than them.
Yeah.
I still think Ole Miss probably wins that game. You keep going. You get LSU at home. You get Washington State at home. You have to go on the road to Georgia. Okay, you probably lose on the road in Athens. I'm not going to, speak.
Especially after last year, too.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk out of my ass with that one. Then you go on the road to Oklahoma. If things are going south for Oklahoma by October 25th, that game looks a lot more winnable. And I think even if things are going well for Oklahoma, it is still winnable for Ole Miss. You get South Carolina at home. You get a break with the Citadel. You get Florida at home. And then you finish with Mississippi State. There's a world where Ole Miss is sitting at 11-1, and I feel like we are not talking about that. I feel like we are looking at this Ole Miss team and just thinking, oh, well, they disappointed last year. They're going to do it again. Man, sometimes things just don't click when you think they're going to. Austin Simmons is a hell of a player. They're talking about the 4th-ranked portal class in the country coming in for Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. I think big college football big brother is out to get Lane Kiffin with what I'm looking at in the odds board because it does not make any sense to me.
I'm right there with you. We'll talk about this on the next episode. I have Ole Miss going 10-2. I believe I've got them losing to Georgia. And if I look at my numbers or my schedule, so many tabs. I think I've got Ole Miss's other loss being like LSU, but you beat South Carolina.
Yeah.
And I think, the fact you're not playing, even if you're not playing a Power Four team in the non-conference, you're playing essentially near enough there in Tulane and Washington State where that's going to matter.
Yeah.
You've got a bottom quarter conference schedule, navigability wise. I think Tennessee and Missouri are right there. People just want to paint Lane Kiffin as this, malcontent, this bad person. And I think it's a little bit ridiculous. I'd even argue they probably got a better chance of even making the playoff than South Carolina because South Carolina's got to play Clemson.
South Carolina has a hell of a tough schedule, dude. And I mean, you look at the teams that I'm talking about, like I'm not high on Florida State, but Alabama opens the season with Florida State at Florida State without Jam Miller. Like,
Yeah.
and you're breaking in a new quarterback with there. Like, that game looks more losable than it did a week ago. There's no doubt about that. You look at LSU, they got to open with Clemson as well. Like, and you look at Texas A&M, they have to finish the season at Texas, probably with college football playoff hopes on the line in that game for Texas A&M, not so much Texas. And like, that's not like, I don't understand why Ole Miss is being valued so much less than these teams when I think that quality wise, they might be slightly less, but advantageous schedule wise, they have a huge advantage here.
And that will reflect it all when I do my playoff field potentially next week. That's a big opportunity there. I don't really have anything that like to push back on.
This is probably my most well thought out. It's only downhill from here.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I would say like where you have me is like, yeah, the schedule. Yes, like Kiffin's a good head coach, but I don't necessarily think that his peers like downgrade. They know he's a good head coach. It's kind of more from like a national media standpoint. So this is a pretty well thought out take. Mine's not.
Hell yeah, let's get it.
All right. So for as much of the moves that Oklahoma made this past offseason, you know, whether that's bringing Ben Arbuckle from Washington State as your OC, John Mature, the gambler at quarterback, Jaden Zackott from Cal, Brent Venables is still the head coach. And more importantly, Joe Castiglione, the longtime athletic dictator / director, is stepping aside. Mm-hmm. I don't really know who you can bring in to say, oh, yeah, congratulations, you're inheriting Brent effing Venables. I looked at something where it's just like the three hottest seats in college football coming in are all named Brent.
I didn't even think about that, but it's true.
It's not key, but Pry, Brennan, and Venables are all in the top three.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there. Castiglione doesn't want to be like feel small because he can't get somebody good. They're going to go out. They're going to try to get prodigal son, Josh Heupel, to come back in conjunction with Danny White. Somehow, some way, there's some Paul Feinbaum, Clay Travis sort of snafu that this doesn't happen. And what they end up doing, they bring back two more of their own from Mississippi State. They bring in Zach Selman and Jeff Lebby. Okay. And I tell you what, in 3 years, it works.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you where you have me for sure. And that's with this potentially not working out very well for Oklahoma. The deck is stacked against Brent Venables. Like, it absolutely is. This is the toughest schedule in the country that they're about to face in a make or break year for the head coach. And then you have the Joe Castiglione situation, which further complicates the matter for Venables. You have me there. Where you lose me a little bit is I'm not sure that they would hire Jeff Lebby.
I mean, they'll present it as a win because they can bring back a Selman. That's why.
That's fair. Can I give you where I thought you were going before you said Mississippi State?
Who?
The return of Lincoln Riley to Norman, Oklahoma.
Oh God, that could be possible. I may be talking about that.
Because to be clear, I don't know if I would buy that either, but that's where I thought you were heading with this.
No, it basically it goes well, then it crashes. That's how every single one of these do.
Yeah.
I was watching a movie, started a guy that likes getting crashes, and he didn't make it out of a crash. That'd be Paul Walker. I watched Meet the Deedles the other day.
Dude, I used to watch the absolute S out of that movie when I was little. I don't know why, but yeah. Probably explains a lot about my personality, frankly.
Apparently, like that's the Arizona State podcast mom's like favorite movie. And I realize now that Surf Wyoming holding a prairie dog. Not good at all, but it was
there's so many movies, like live action movies from like that specific era. Like that came out in like 99, 2000, like around there. Like there's so many like weird live action movies that happened at that point that like I feel are like lost in time. Like there's a Dudley Do-Right movie starring Brendan Fraser that I was telling the NC State podcast about, and she was like, what the hell are you talking about? And I was like, I've seen that movie like at least 24 times.
That was definitely a movie, and they made a ride about it at Universal, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like I feel like Meet the Deedles is lost time. But back to Oklahoma. Sorry, we got a little sidetracked there.
That's fine.
But no, like I am optimistic for Oklahoma this year. Like you have a lot of talent. There's a lot of things going well. I do wonder if the level of expectations within that building with the changes that are going to be made administratively, I do wonder if we would probably look at a 7-5 or 8-4 season for Oklahoma and call it a success. I wonder if they're going to do that in Norman though.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was starting this thought. Is like, I don't know how much of a sales job you could do on Brent Venables after a 7-5 season.
Yeah. I mean, especially coming off 2024, which was abysmal.
And this is the same AD that paid him all that weird money ahead of last year for like no reason. Like, you gotta be smart here, man.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I guess like if I'm like looking at, you can sell it as getting a Selman back there, but I wonder if Oklahoma would look for a package deal. And that's kind of the bit that if I'm looking for like a bigger hang up, like I could see them absolutely going after Zach Selman. I don't necessarily know if they would go after Jeff Lebby just because of what comes with that. You know what I mean? And like, I could see them try to go after Josh Heupel then or go after one of Josh Heupel or Danny White. Like I'm not sure it's necessarily going to be a package deal because I think that frankly, package deals have gotten Oklahoma in the situation that they're in.
Yeah. The point is, like, the best they can do is 9-3. And at that point, you can only put a lipstick on a pig so much with Brent Venables.
It's true. It's very, very true. Also, I need to inform you. I was binging some Cover 3 episodes over the past couple days, and we've got a nickname for John Mateer, courtesy of the Cover 3 chat that is caught on Cover 3, and we're gonna be right there with him. It's Moneyline Mateer.
That's great from the Gambler, dude. That's great.
Moneyline Mateer is just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I mean, that might be as good as the live dog.
It really is. It's up there.
It's up there. And speaking about up there, let's move to our next one with some Big Ten energy. I'm sure yours is absolutely badass crazy.
It's not as crazy as you possibly think, but I'm sure you're gonna poke some holes in it because it's not smart. But here we go. My conspiracy theory: Indiana is gonna make the college football playoff again. And it's as simple as that. You look at this schedule for Indiana. I did a lot of this based on schedule and just things that people are missing and like things that are going on in college football that I just don't make sense to me and feel conspiratorial. Some of them are a little bit more out there than Indiana making the college football playoff, Ole Miss being underrated. You obviously start off with one of the easiest non-conference schedules I've ever seen in my entire life. Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. Good God, Kurt Cignetti, you have no room to talk about anyone doing anything in the non-conference.
Then Childs, things are getting easier. They play nobody in the non-conference till the world ends, man.
Dude, it's unbelievable. Then you get Illinois at home. You go on the road to Iowa. Look, I understand that we like Mark Gronowski on this here program. I'm still not convinced that Iowa's going to like dramatically change overnight. And Kinnick's a tough place to play. You go on the road to Oregon. Okay. There's a world where Oregon is like reeling at this point in the season. I'm talking about 4 or 5 games in the season. If Dante Moore's not any good, Oregon could be in trouble at this point. Autzen could be not a zoo. I'll tell you that. Like Autzen could be a little bit dead in that place. Then you get Michigan State at home. You get UCLA at home. You go on the road to Maryland. You go on the road to Penn State. Okay, let's say we get to that Penn State game, and Penn State hasn't necessarily lived up to its expectations. Maybe they've already lost to Ohio State. Maybe they're already sitting in a spot where they're not the national championship contender. Like it's James Franklin 10-2 that we're staring at. Are we sure that Happy Valley is going to be the place that it's cracked up to be if Penn State doesn't reach national championship level expectations by the time we're in early November? Not entirely unwinnable for Indiana. Then you get Wisconsin at home and on the road at Purdue. I'm going to give them both wins in there because Wisconsin probably does not have Luke Fickell as their head coach at that point, quite frankly.
And I'll still be paying him, but
yes,
doesn't matter.
Yes. But I look at this. You upgraded a quarterback. Fernando Mendoza is better than Curtis Schwartz. You upgraded on the offensive line. They went out and that was the main focus of what they were trying to do is they saw what happened against Ohio State. They saw what happened in the college football playoff. You got blown off the line and you couldn't protect your quarterback. Not only do you have, did you address that, but you also have a mobile quarterback as opposed to Curtis Rourke playing with a partially torn ACL. So all these things are shaping up for Indiana. I believe in Kurt Cignetti, but I feel like everyone's like, oh yeah, Indiana was a fun story last year. And now we're in a situation where it's they might, they'll probably be in a bowl game pretty comfortably, 7-8 wins. Brother, I'm here to tell you, double-digit wins is probably what I'm forecasting for the Hoosiers.
Okay, where you got me is like schedule's navigable. You have nothing in the non-conference, which is a double-edged sword. It's not going to help you, but it's if you lose one of them. Um, they can pick up some games here. I've got Indiana going 9-3 and not making it,
Yeah.
mostly because like I don't know, I don't know how they're going to be a road warriors at Iowa, at
Yeah.
Oregon, at Penn State, but like I do have them beating Illinois, and like that's the team that I think that they got to be gunning for
Mhm.
to get that fourth spot into the playoff out of the Big Ten. And the more I've been doing this, like it's going to be really hard to get five teams in from the SEC or the Big Ten this year.
Yeah,
It's
it
pretty
is.
tough.
It
So,
absolutely is.
so yeah, but the only thing that I would say that like maybe bothers me a little bit is Kurt Signetti is no longer liked. It's kind of like, oh, you're just kind of
Yeah.
a old man yelling at cloud softy guy. And it's like, and I think when you have people rooting against you, that causes you to play tight. Maybe you don't win some of those games. For as talented as Fernando Mendoza is, he's got to fill the shoes of Curtis Rourke, who's pretty damn good for them.
Agreed.
But
100%.
but yeah, I think like if you're gonna put a fourth team into the playoff out of the Big Ten, Indiana's an easy choice for that for sure.
Yeah, and to your point about Kurt Signetti, I am curious to see how he uses going from being the darling to being someone who's frankly disliked. Like, there's a world where, like you said, you play tight. You feel that pressure and it affects you in a negative way. There's also a world where it's us against the world in
Yeah.
Bloomington, Indiana, and that's used as motivation. Not out of the question there either. Again, when we do our college football playoff predictions, I'm not sure I'm going to have Indiana there, but like I think they're like you have them at 9-3 with 3 losses on the road, right?
Yeah.
And like I look at that and what I just painted out, like if Oregon is struggling by the time we get to mid-October, if Penn State season is dead, if Iowa hasn't just gelled around Mark Gronowski by the end of September, like there's a way they flip one of those games. And like if one of those games happens to be like the Oregon game, Indiana could take Oregon's spot in the playoff. We're not talking about them taking Illinois' spot.
Yeah, I'll talk about Oregon probably the next show, but like it's very close for them to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The other thing is like in terms of like Signetti being able to embrace being hunted, wasn't he that at JMU?
Right.
Like so like
Exactly.
this is not unfamiliar territory. I mean, he's in his 60s, he's seen some stuff. So
Yeah, he
I'm
probably like once I'm in my 60s, let me assure you, I'm not giving an S about anything that anyone has to say about me. I'm just gonna say whatever I want and go about my day.
I'll still probably care, but God bless you, sir.
That I mean, that's one of my favorite. That's one of the only things I'm looking forward to aging is just like not being held accountable for anything that I say or do.
I'm not gonna say that, but like Gran Torino, baby.
That's right.
All right, this is probably my worst of the six. Hear me
Hell
out.
yeah, let's go.
I'm very high in Nebraska this year. I've got Nebraska going 9-3. However, the Matt Rule era of Nebraska takes a turn over some Dylan Raiola, NIL, Patrick Mahomes cosplaying nonsense. They're going to win games, but this is going to result in a deteriorating relationship and kind of be an eyesore and what will be Nebraska's best season since Pete Booklaney.
Interesting. Where you have me is I think we're underrating Nebraska a little bit. I don't know if you saw, I got to mention this, but Greg McElroy, ESPN, messing up the graphics to say that they were an SEC sleeper instead of a Big Ten sleeper. And it was going around on the Twitter earlier this week. It just said SEC sleeper Nebraska Cornhusker.
Man's a Rhodes Scholar, but playing quarterback for the Jets will do a number on you.
Brother, yeah. Brain is wet dog food at this point.
Amen, brother. Same.
Uh, but where you have me is like I do think people are underrating Nebraska quite a bit. Like talking in the Big Ten conversation, like they deserve to be in the conversation with Indiana and Illinois. Like they have that type of upside. Where you lose me is frankly Matt Rule. I like Matt Rule as a head coach. I think Matt Rule generally is a good program builder, and like this is supposed to be as popular at Nebraska. I also think that we are going to find out that Matt Rule doesn't work everywhere. Matt Rule is not a one size fits all head coach and can fix anything. And I think Nebraska, frankly, is a hard place to fix to get them to the level where they're at, like near the top in the upper echelon of the Big Ten, which is what you're talking about essentially. And I think Nebraska is going to take more than just what Matt Rule did at Baylor, what Matt Rule did at Temple, because you look at those two areas, those are different challenges than what Nebraska presents. Like if you're at Temple, yes, you're a G5 school, but you're also in the state of Pennsylvania. You're in the Midwest, a recruiting hotbed. Like you can recruit Ohio, you can recruit Pennsylvania, you can recruit anything that comes out of the Northeast. Like you have a nice little recruiting bed there. In Baylor, you're obviously in Texas. Yes,
Yeah.
it's hard to sell people to come to Waco because it's Waco, but at the same time, like you are still in Texas. And like Nebraska is in Lincoln, Nebraska. Like that is a very different thing for recruit and develop. They've had to turn their scope nationally. They've done a decent job of that for Nebraska. But at the same time, I'm not sure it's necessarily at the level that it's going to take to compete with the Oregons, even the Illinois, who has the same advantage in the Midwest that I'm talking about with Temple, but at a higher level. Like I just think it's a very tough ask to get Nebraska to this point with the model that we've seen from Matt Rule.
Okay, so what you're saying is like, yeah, the Dylan Royola, Patrick Mahomes cosplay NIL nonsense could definitely happen. We do think that they're going to be comfortably a bowl team, but then it's also like the Matt Rule pop year, it's going to be muted because it's Nebraska.
Right, 100%. Like I don't think Nebraska is hopeless for the rest of eternity. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's going to take I don't even know who this is. So like, let me be clear when I say that, like, I don't have someone in mind when I say this, but like, it's going to take a very specific type of coach. Frankly, they should have never fired Bo Pelini because Bo Pelini had this thing working in a very positive direction. But like, I don't know who it's going to take. I just don't believe at this point that it's going to be Matt Rule.
Lane Kiffin. Welcome on, brother.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But it's like my whole thing is like they're gonna have a great season, but they're gonna be like, I've got some poo in my shoe. Why do I have poo in my shoes? I learned how to tie my shoes and I still stepped in it. This sucks.
Right, 100%. You know, you tie up the white Air Forces and then your first step is right in a mud puddle. Like that's just what it is.
I mean, all I can say is we do more than shoot hoops and turn left. We also know how to tie our shoes and wipe dog poo off our shoes.
That's right.
Really here. Let's move on to the ACC. Mine's really good. I want to see what yours is.
This is one that I'm not really happy to talk about, but it's something I'm kind of halfway believe. I think the ACC is dying, quite frankly, and I think we're going to see an exodus. I think that the ACC loses at least 8 coaches after this season. I think that you look at the hot seat candidates and like those are the obvious ones. Hold on, I have this written down somewhere. Okay.
So you'd be looking at Tony Elliott,
Frank Reich, Justin Wilcox. Cal's thinking about just shoehorning their football program. Apparently, I think that there's a chance that we lose Brent Pry. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that if things don't go well at Pitt, that we start having a Pat Narduzzi conversation. I think we start talking Mike Norvell. Yeah, exactly. So we're at 6 there, but then I start looking at someone like Brent Key at Georgia Tech. If the ACC is dying, if North Carolina and Clemson are thinking about leaving this league, does Brent Key look at this and be like, I have the cachet at this point with what I've done at Georgia Tech to potentially go to a bigger job. Do I take that opportunity? Do I look at that? I also look at a program like Mario Cristobal at Miami, man. He wouldn't be one to leave, I don't think, but he would be one to potentially get fired if Miami doesn't live up to expectations. Like, I think we're in a situation where I'm not high on the ACC as a whole. We've talked about this throughout the offseason. I think it's Clemson and then also Rams. That's the way I look at this conference. But I also think that the state of the conference is when you talk about North Carolina, you talk about Clemson potentially leaving this league, man, it is on life support if that happens. And I wonder if we see coaches start to prepare for what could potentially be coming down the line, perhaps quicker than we realize.
Plan before time, brother.
That's right. That's right. Also, if we want another like potential move that we could see, like, is Manny Diaz going to stay at Duke forever?
No. I mean, he could go replace Mike Norvell at Florida State in the new Big 12 potentially.
Right.
Where you have me is I didn't realize there was this many coaches that could conceivably move. Like, I don't think Fran Brown's going to leave. I don't think that like Dabo's going to leave.
Right.
Belichick's not leaving.
I mean, but
maybe
Belichick in the NFL.
That's
not out of the realm of possibility.
Dave Doran's going to be there as long as they'll have him in Raleigh.
Yeah.
But like you start rattling them off there and you're like, we're going across the board with everybody else in terms of like, okay, maybe once you start talking about Nard Dog, like, okay, maybe that could happen. So like, I didn't realize it could be a potential mass exodus, and with the league potentially falling apart. Where I think you lose me is some guys leaving their alma mater, like Brinky's got a man at Georgia Tech. I
Right.
don't know where I don't know where you'd go. Like, I mean, he's from Alabama. Like, maybe he goes to Auburn, maybe is what you would be implying. Because like
Potentially. Yeah.
Auburn wishes it was Georgia Tech. I saw that somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's throw this out here. Would you rather be the head coach at Georgia Tech or the defensive coordinator at the University of Alabama?
Probably well, I could I wouldn't want to wear either clothes, but like I could do Alabama, I think.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like your future job prospects, the defensive coordinator of Alabama has a pretty good track record of where that leads. And the head coach of Georgia Tech, not quite as much.
But at that point, like, would you rather be a head coach at Auburn? Probably.
Probably. Yeah.
Would you rather be the head coach at Ole Miss?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it's even if it is alma mater. And Mario Cristobal, like, I don't even know what he's gonna do.
I don't think he's like, again, I don't think Mario Cristobal's leaving. I just think that at a certain point, like if this Miami team goes 8-4 after paying however what ungodly amount they paid Carson Beck, like some booster is going to be up in Mario Cristobal's face being like, brother, do you know what you're doing on this job? Like, do
No,
you have a single clue?
no,
I
no.
mean, we know he doesn't, but like still.
I dig that one. So here's mine. So Stanford's hired a new athletic director, and John Donahoe. He's formerly of Nike and PayPal, and he's in his mid 60s. What if it? What if the pairing of John Donahoe and interim head coach Frank Reich goes together like lamb and tuna fish? Reich resigns mid-season. Andrew Luck's got to coach games, and the Donahoe's like, "Look, man, I got to get something from like the Stanford Leland Jr. Trust to the endowment to make this happen." I know we've mentioned Spencer Danielson potentially coming in there from Boise State, but do you think you pay $6 million for one of your own to come home? Do you think you could get a Troy Walters to leave the Bengals receiving corps to be your head coach? Could you get Tavita Pritchard to leave the Commanders quarterbacks room to be your head coach for $6 million?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm having a hard time finding something I don't like with this Bueller because I'm in on this. I'm very in
Yeah.
on this. um, yeah, man. Like the Andrew Luck component of Stanford is fascinating to me
Yeah.
because, like, obviously he's the only reason that Frank Reich has a job right now, quite
Yes.
frankly, and it's his familiarity with Frank Reich. But like we've talked about it, like this does feel like a short term like band aid just to like stabilize the program as best you can. It's not going to be a fun season for Stanford by any
No.
stretch of the imagination, and one that you could definitely reasonably see Frank Reich not sticking around the whole thing for. Like he's not a spring chicken either, and like the stress of getting your ass kicked for 10 weeks in a row probably not going to be great for you. And so like I look at that and I look at Andrew Luck, and you don't bring in someone like Andrew Luck unless you have big plans, unless you
Yeah.
have plans to do something somewhat radical, frankly. And man, I think that would make a lot of sense to bring in someone who knows the challenges of Stanford, both as a player and like now has coaching experience to go along with that. Like, I think that would make a ton of sense. Like the Troy Walters idea, like that has my attention very bigly.
Because you and I both know damn well that Mike Brown is never going to pay him. He pays Zach Taylor $3 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, dude won't pay an all-pro pass rusher right
And
now for reasons.
I don't know if Troy Walters is a college football Hall of Famer, but he's near enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
And then Tavita Pritchard there in Washington, that's the quarterback before you
Mm-hmm.
at Stanford with like Harbaugh, the previous head coach whose name is escaping me. But like, you're not making that in the NFL at a really well thought of position coach. Like, you're the quarterbacks coach for Jaden Daniels. You're the receiving coach for like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is, the NFL is not necessarily going to give either of them the opportunity to be a head coach. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe Pritchard's like, okay, you can replace Cliff Kingsbury, who gets a job, which I think could totally happen next year. Walters, it's harder because it's the Bengals and your receivers coach
Yeah.
behind Zach Taylor.
Yeah, and like you're in that role, you're also all like with what the Bengals roster looks like and what he's coaching right now, you're not going to get an ounce of credit. The
No,
credit's going to go to the fact that you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And like that's not fair, but that's the way it's going to be perceived.
Yeah. So that's what I'm the most proud of. It's really
Dude, I
proud.
love, yeah, like truly, I was sitting there like listening to you talk, and I'm like, all right, we got to poke a hole in this, and I'm like, damn it, there's not a hole.
Maybe it's luck coaching on the sidelines. I just wanted out of hilarity because it's like he's a day younger than me, dude. It's like
But you could totally see it though. That's the thing. Like Andrew Luck being a head coach is not like that is not a leap for me mentally to get there.
Yeah. Him getting veneers like Freddie Freeman would be it.
Yes, yes, yes. There are many Andrew Luck leaps that we can make. That is not one of them.
Like I told you, I went to high school with his teammate at Chase Thomas at Stanford, and it's just like, yeah, they're both whiskey guys. That was their thing.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I mean, that tracks completely.
That absolutely tracks. I don't know if we missed our mark, but you missed your mark. Let's move on to the Big 12 here. Which one do you got for me?
We're gonna start with the simplest statement. I'm not sure anyone in this conference is good. I don't think anyone in the Big 12 wins 10 games. I think like 9-3, it gets you into the Big 12 championship game this year. I think it's going to be the most homogenous thing you've ever seen. I look at all these teams and like I'm highest on Arizona State if I had to pick one out of the conference. However, when I look at Arizona State, there are flaws to this. Like, I think Udo is a downgrade from Cam Scatterbo. I think the offensive line is worse than it was a year ago. I think the defense is probably a step back from where it was a year ago. I have faith in Sam Levitt getting better. I have faith in Jordan Tyson. I have faith in Kenny Dillingham and this staff. But like I look at the pieces and it's not quite what it was a year ago. And you could argue, despite how good they were, that they also overachieved last year. Yeah. We have our doubts about a Kansas State team led by Avery Johnson. We don't know if he's actually that good. We look at Iowa State, like it's a team that a lot of people seem to be less high on than you and I. Like we believe in Matt Campbell, we believe in Rocco Becht, but there are a lot of questions on that defense. And like I think that they'll get the most out of it, but what is the most? Like how good is the most? Like is it enough to stop a Sam Levitt and Kenny Dillingham offense when you need it to? You keep going down the line in this conference and you can keep picking flaws with all of these teams. And like the more I look at it and the more I think about also some sleepers, like I was looking into Houston a little bit and thinking more about Houston and Willie Fritz. No one's giving them any thought, any thought right now. You brought in Connor Wegman this offseason, man. Connor Wegman, who frankly endured a lot of turmoil at Texas A&M, including injuries, but also just the state of the program, whether it was the end of the Jimbo Fisher era or the like transitioning that to the Mike Elko era. Like that's a lot to deal with while you're also injured. He's a former 5-star. Houston also had a top 25 portal class this offseason. Like Willie Fritz is starting to put his impact on this roster. I'm a big fan of Willie Fritz. I think he is going to work at Houston eventually. And like when you have teams like that, like BYU, we know that obviously losing Jake Ratzlaff is probably going to lower their ceiling, but this is still a damn good BYU team coached by a very good head coach in Kalani Sitake. And so like you keep going down the line in the Big 12 and like there's so many spoilers in there as well. And the more I look at this, the more I'm like, is any team really going to be able to separate itself in a meaningful way? And I'm really starting to wonder if that's like, like we just end up and it's 2 9-3 teams playing in Arlington. And us looking at the most ridiculous tiebreakers in the world for the last 3 weeks of the season.
Congratulations, Boise and Tulane. You're both making the playoff now then.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good. I will agree with you on a part of it, but not most of it. I would say there's going to be a lot of 9-3 there. Like I've got Baylor at 9-3. I've got Texas Tech at 9-3, K-State at 9-3, Iowa State at 9-3. I just think Utah and Arizona State are going to be pretty good.
That's fair. It's fair. Like this is why it's half-baked. Like let's be clear.
Yeah. I get what you're saying that like maybe Arizona State can't replicate that same crashing sense of urgency that they did a year ago. Maybe I'm just drinking way too much Kool-Aid there on the Utah Utes with Devin Dampier and whatnot. But like in the years past, like maybe like even before like realignment, like the Big 12 champion is going to win about 10 games. So, and at that point, like in this playoff format, you're going to get in, you're probably going to be the 11 or 12 seed. Maybe if you go 11-1, but then again, you're probably right in the aspect, like not a lot of them play really anybody of note in the non-conference, like especially Kansas State.
Yes, especially Kansas State.
Like Arizona's a non-conference game for them. That hurts them.
That's almost as bad as Indiana, man.
I know. That's rough, man.
But no,
Okay.
like, so to speak to the Utah point, like, I do think there's a chance that Utah is the one that makes this look dumb. Like, I'm getting to the point where I almost have more confidence in Utah than I do Arizona State. But I also think there's a very realistic chance where Utah is almost like a B-list version of Jaden Daniels led LSU. And not
Okay.
necessarily because the defense is that bad, but where you have a player who is polarizing, electric, who you can easily get behind and like is a joy to watch every single Saturday. But also he might not be good enough to make like get his team to 10, 11 wins. Like I wonder if that's like at the end of the day, like I am a big fan of Devin Dampier. I'm excited to watch him at Utah. He is transferring from New Mexico. Like this is a big leap in competition that he's about to make.
I mean, he's going from one four corner to another. Do you think he touched all four on the way through with Antonio?
I mean, most likely, yeah. Antonio probably, yeah. No, I'm not going to say what Antonio did, but yeah,
He makes his bed there. That's where he's. That's where
that's right.
it's the power of the pyramid that he sleeps on, I guess.
Yes, sir.
All right, mine's all over the place. Okay, this is multi-conference, but this is Big 12 leaning. It doesn't work for Lincoln Riley at USC. It's bad. They go 6-6, and Jennifer Cohen has to make a decision. And she does the logical thing and goes for the best candidate that USC can find right now, and that is Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell.
Okay.
The problem is he really likes being in Ames. He likes the working relationship he has with AD Jamie Pollard. So he's not going to come for anything less than 10 million. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, because if it's a private school, because it's USC, they just messed this up. Like they nickel and dime him, like, we're going to give you 9.75. They're going to treat it like a Bengals contract.
Yeah.
And he's like, kick rocks, we're not going to do this. Then whoever the university president comes in, he's like, you know what? Screw you, Jen. I'm bringing in Matt Campbell, and Jamie can come too.
Okay. Where you have me is this not working at USC with Lincoln Riley. I don't think that's a stretch of the imagination at all because it's not working, and I don't really see that turning around. Also have me on the interest in Matt Campbell. Where you lose me a little bit, I think if USC sees Matt Campbell as a realistic possibility, there's no way they nickel and dime him. I think he becomes maybe the second highest paid college football coach.
You think he gets like Sark money? I mean, they should. That's what I'm hoping they do.
And like I think Jen Cohen, if she may, like, let's be clear about this. Like, we are low on Lincoln Riley. We think it is the right move to move on from Lincoln Riley at USC. At the same time, it is going to be a pressure-packed decision from Jen Cohen if you do that, because of all the fanfare and because of all the resources that you exhausted to get Lincoln Riley to Southern California. You have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Convicted. You have to be convicted with what your next move is going to be if that's the case. And so, like, that's where you lose me a little bit is I don't think that you move on from Lincoln Riley. And, like, I agree that Matt Campbell is probably the number one target that I would have confidence in at USC, and I would hope USC feels the same. But if you're going to fire Lincoln Riley, you have to be convicted in what that next move is. And I frankly think that's why it wasn't more of a conversation last offseason. Because when you look at the board, who would you really have conviction with outside of Matt Campbell? But would Matt Campbell really want to leave when he's about to go into a year of opportunity with Rocco Beggs? Rocco Beggs probably gone after this season. And then that door really opens for Matt Campbell.
Yeah, Beck started 2 years already. This will be year 3. He's got NFL pedigree from his father, Anthony, that he could probably play. Probably like a day 2 pick at this point, but he could play his way into the first round. Again, nobody is as high in Iowa State as apparently you and I are. I think it's just like it would be the smart and logical thing to just pay whatever you need to get Matt Campbell because you're a private school. You don't have to publicly disclose it. Like just have I don't know, George Lucas sell something dumb and pay for this.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, to your credit with this with this conspiracy theory, USC doing the logical thing is not a safe bet. quite frankly. So like, there is that component of this.
Yes, logic may or may not prevail, but they will fight on with whatever they're gonna do. Uh, let's do some group of five for five missed year mark. Let's move on to the Big 12 here. Which one you got for me?
We're gonna start with the simplest statement. I'm not sure anyone in this conference is good.
No.
I don't think anyone in the Big 12 wins 10 games. I think like 9-3, it gets you into the Big 12 championship game this year. I think it's going to be the most homogenous thing you've ever seen. I look at all these teams and like, I'm highest on Arizona State if I had to pick one out of the conference. However, when I look at Arizona State, there are flaws to this. Like, I think Udo is a downgrade from Cam Scatabo. I think the offensive line is worse than it was a year ago. I think the defense is probably a step back from where it was a year ago. I have faith in Sam Levitt getting better. I have faith in Jordan Tyson. I have faith in Kenny Dillingham and this staff. But like I look at the pieces and it's not quite what it was a year ago. And you could argue, despite how good they were, that they also overachieved last year. Yeah. We have our doubts about a Kansas State team led by Avery Johnson. We don't know if he's actually that good. We look at Iowa State, like it's a team that a lot of people seem to be less high on than you and I. Like we believe in Matt Campbell, we believe in Rocco Becht, but there are a lot of questions on that defense. And like I think that they'll get the most out of it, but what is the most? Like, how good is the most? Like, is it enough to stop a Sam Levitt and Kenny Dillingham offense when you need it to? You keep going down the line in this conference, and you can keep picking flaws with all of these teams. And like, the more I look at it, and the more I think about also some sleepers. Like, I was looking into Houston a little bit and thinking more about Houston and Willie Fritz. No one's giving them any thought, any thought right now. You brought in Connor Wegman this offseason, man. Connor Wegman, who frankly endured a lot of turmoil at Texas A&M, including injuries, but also just the state of the program, whether it was the end of the Jimbo Fisher era or the like transitioning that to the Mike Elko era. Like that's a lot to deal with while you're also injured. He's a former 5-star. Houston also had a top 25 portal class this offseason. Like Willie Fritz is starting to put his impact on this roster. I'm a big fan of Willie Fritz. I think he is going to work at Houston eventually. And like when you have teams like that, like BYU, we know that obviously losing Jake Ratzlaff is probably going to lower their ceiling, but this is still a damn good BYU team coached by a very good head coach in Kalani Sitake. And so like you keep going down the line in the Big 12 and like there's so many spoilers in there as well. And the more I look at this, the more I'm like, is any team really going to be able to separate itself in a meaningful way? And I'm really starting to wonder if that's like, like we just end up and it's 2 9-3 teams playing in Arlington, and us looking at the most ridiculous tiebreakers in the world for the last 3 weeks of the season.
Congratulations, Boise and Tulane. You're both making the playoff now. Then
that's right. Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good. I will agree with you on a part of it, but not most of it. I would say there's going to be a lot of 9-3 there. Like I've got Baylor at 9-3. I've got Texas Tech at 9-3, K-State at 9-3, Iowa State at 9-3. I just think Utah and Arizona State are going to be pretty good.
That's fair. It's fair. Like this is why it's half-baked. Like let's be clear.
Yeah. I get what you're saying that like maybe Arizona State can't replicate that same crashing sense of urgency that they did a year ago. Maybe I'm just drinking way too much Kool-Aid there on the Utah Utes with Devin Dampier and whatnot. But like in the years past, like maybe like even before like realignment, like the Big 12 champion is going to win about 10 games. So, and at that point, like in this playoff format, you're going to get in, you're probably going to be the 11 or 12 seed. Maybe if you go 11-1, but then again, you're probably right in the aspect, like not a lot of them play really anybody of note in the non-conference, like especially Kansas State.
Yeah, especially Kansas State.
Like Arizona's a non-conference game for them. That hurts them.
That's almost as bad as Indiana, man.
That's rough, man.
But no, like, so to speak to the Utah point, like I do think there's a chance that Utah is the one that makes this look dumb. Like I'm getting to the point where I almost have more confidence in Utah than I do Arizona State. But I also think there's a very realistic chance where Utah is almost like a B-list version of Jaden Daniels-led LSU. And not necessarily because the defense is that bad, but where you have a player who is polarizing, electric, who you can easily get behind and like is a joy to watch every single Saturday. But also he might not be good enough to make like get his team to 10, 11 wins. Like I wonder if that's the, like at the end of the day, like I'm a big fan of Devin Dampier. I'm excited to watch him at Utah. He is transferring from New Mexico. Like this is a big leap in competition that he's about to make.
I mean, he's going from one four corner to another. Do you think he touched all four on the way through with Antonio?
I mean, most likely, yeah. Antonio probably, yeah. No, I'm not going to say what Antonio did, but yeah,
He makes his bed there. That's where he's. That's where
that's right.
it's the power of the pyramid that he sleeps on, I guess.
Yes, sir.
All right, mine's all over the place. Okay, this is multi-conference, but this is Big 12 leaning. It doesn't work for Lincoln Riley at USC. It's bad. They go 6-6, and Jennifer Cohen has to make a decision. And she does the logical thing and goes for the best candidate that USC can find right now, and that is Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell.
Okay.
The problem is he really likes being in Ames. He likes the working relationship he has with AD Jamie Pollard. So he's not going to come for anything less than 10 million. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, because it's a private school, because it's USC, they just messed this up. Like they nickel and dime him, like, we're going to give you 9.75. They're going to treat it like a Bengals contract.
Yeah.
And he's like, kick rocks, we're not going to do this. Then whoever the university president comes in, he's like, you know what? Screw you, Jen. I'm bringing in Matt Campbell, and Jamie can come too.
Okay. Where you have me is this not working at USC with Lincoln Riley. I don't think that's a stretch of the imagination at all because it's not working, and I don't really see that turning around. Also have me on the interest in Matt Campbell. Where you lose me a little bit, I think if USC sees Matt Campbell as a realistic possibility, there's no way they nickel and dime him. I think he becomes maybe the second highest paid college football coach.
You think he gets like Sark money? I mean, they should. That's what I'm hoping they do.
And like I think Jen Cohen, if she may, like, let's be clear about this. Like, we are low on Lincoln Riley. We think it is the right move to move on from Lincoln Riley at USC. At the same time, it is going to be a pressure-packed decision from Jen Cohen if you do that, because of all the fanfare and because of all the resources that you exhausted to get Lincoln Riley to Southern California. You have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Convicted. You have to be convicted with what your next move is going to be if that's the case. And so, like, that's where you lose me a little bit is I don't think that you move on from Lincoln Riley. And, like, I agree that Matt Campbell is probably the number one target that I would have confidence in at USC, and I would hope USC feels the same. But if you're going to fire Lincoln Riley, you have to be convicted in what that next move is. And I frankly think that's why it wasn't more of a conversation last offseason. Because when you look at the board, who would you really have conviction with outside of Matt Campbell? But would Matt Campbell really want to leave when he's about to go into a year of opportunity with Rocco Beggs? Rocco Beggs probably gone after this season. And then that door really opens for Matt Campbell.
Yeah, Beck started 2 years already. This will be year 3. He's got NFL pedigree from his father, Anthony, that he could probably play. Probably like a day 2 pick at this point, but he could play his way into the first round. Again, nobody is as high in Iowa State as apparently you and I are. I think it's just like it would be the smart and logical thing to just pay whatever you need to get Matt Campbell because you're a private school. You don't have to publicly disclose it. Like just have I don't know, George Lucas sell something dumb and pay for this.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, to your credit with this with this conspiracy theory, USC doing the logical thing is not a safe bet, quite frankly. Yeah. So, like, there is that component of this.
Yes. Logic may or may not prevail, but they will fight on with whatever they're gonna do. Let's do some group of 5 for 5. You kidding me for our last one. This one's good for me. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
This isn't a conspiracy theory as much as it is just me putting out a bold prediction, I would say. I'm looking at the AP Top 25 preseason poll right now. And ostensibly, obviously, you'd have a G5 representative in here, but the top 12 teams, you would consider them college football playoff contenders.
Yes.
I think more than half of them do not make the college football playoff.
Really?
So let me go down the list here. We've got Texas at number 1. We sure Arch Manning's good? Do we know that for without a shadow of a doubt? I think so. But do we know that without a shadow of a doubt?
No.
Have we seen Sark win the big one? Have we seen Sark things up before?
Yeah.
We have. So not sure you can trust the number 1 team in the country. We got Penn State. James Franklin is the head coach of Penn State still, correct?
That's all you got to know. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Ohio State. Julian Sayin, has never played college football before.
Matthew Patricia.
Yeah, Matt Patricia is your defensive coordinator. Brian Hartline's your offensive coordinator. Just saying. Clemson, I'll give you Clemson. I think Clemson is a lock of locks to make the college football playoff especially because they play in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, look, this isn't me, disparaging you, but we don't know what Gunnar Stockton is. We've also seen this defense, despite how talented it is, underperform in recent years. So if that happens again, Georgia does not have an easy schedule.
No.
Things could go awry for them if things do not click with Gunnar Stockton at the helm. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame, we think they have a navigable schedule, but we've also seen Marcus Freeman lose a lot of games that he should not lose. And we've also seen that CJ Carr, who has also not played college football, is their quarterback. Mm-hmm. A lot of questions there. Oregon, same questions. A, they can't win the big one. B, Dante Moore has limited reps from his time at UCLA. We don't know what he's going to look like in this offense. You also lost a hell of a lot of talent to the NFL last year. Alabama, I've voiced my opinions many times. I don't think Ty Simpson is very good. Yeah. That's probably a problem. LSU, we still don't know if this defense is fixed. Miami, go back to see the point about James Franklin and just insert Mario Cristobal's name right there. Arizona State, I've already mentioned, I think might have luck boxed into their way into the Big 12 title last year a little bit. And then Illinois, we like, but are they ready to make that type of leap? And that's your top 12 teams. Is it really that unreasonable in this year, this specific year in college football, to think that this might just be the most chaotic year in the college football playoff that we've ever seen? Because you look at the elite programs, you look at the elite teams, the teams that we think are going to be elite this season, and most of them have a very clear flaw or at least a very major question that will influence whether or not they make the college football playoff or not, that I feel like is just not being talked about. And then you go down the list, like you have teams like that have similar questions, but also have talent below that. South Carolina, Michigan, Florida, Oklahoma, SMU, Kansas State, Texas A&M. Like you keep going down the list. It's not unreasonable to think that some of these programs, especially ones like a South Carolina that has, like, yes, they lost a lot on defense, but you also are returning one, maybe the best quarterback in the country who has experience under his belt. I think that there's a world where this college football playoff, like, this is one of the years where we look back at the preseason AP poll and we're like, what the hell were we thinking when this came out?
You got me on a lot of this. The tinfoil hat was really cooking my brain. That's why it's sizzling on the ground. With the sizzle 20 here. Okay, I would think Clemson's probably among the locks of locks, and I would probably say Georgia, Texas, and Ohio State talent's really good there. But like everybody else that you're mentioning, like this could unravel pretty quickly. And again, like last year, if we go back to episode, I don't know, 104, 105 or something like that, we probably only got about 6 or 7 teams right apiece.
Right.
And it'll probably be the same next year when we do it again, based on our predictions here. And even though I say teams are locks, like things don't happen. Like Cam Rising doesn't go to the Heisman Trophy like ceremony, things like that.
Cam Rising doesn't play a game.
No.
Quite frankly.
I would say like of those top teams that are in the top 10, like I don't have probably like 4 or 5 of them making the playoff anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3, but like there's a few up there in the top 7 where I'm like, they look kind of vulnerable. And I'm talking about Notre Dame, I'm talking about Oregon, and honestly, I'm kind of talking about Penn State a little bit too.
100%, man. Like the more I've thought about this and like, trying to at least get something together that I can workshop for our college football playoff predictions, the more I'm like, damn, I really don't know what's going to happen this year, because like, I'm not sure I'm confident in anyone outside of Clemson winning the ACC. But even then, I'm not sure. Like, I think that gets them into the college football playoff. I still don't know if it's enough to win a national championship. And like I'm looking and like it's bending my mind into a pretzel to quote Seinfeld. Like that's where I'm at.
Well, we got your mind in a Dan Wetzel pretzel, and honestly, you've set me up like Cal Naughton Jr. with some shake and bake here.
Let's
You know,
go.
I'm gonna take this like a Brett Hull one-timer did.
Let's go.
If Texas loses to Ohio State, Florida, and Georgia all on the road, they're not making the playoff. No effing way. Not happening. If that happens, the Arch Manning hype train will be forever cooked off the rails. It'll be like a necktie around like a tree. Like that, you are not salvaging that railway.
I like it.
Amid a fiery blaze of burnt orange. Steve Sarkisian, I'm not going to say what's going to happen to him. He's going to be mad.
Uh, you thought it was bad when he yelled at the security guard. You ain't seen nothing yet, brother.
And I'm not saying this is Jeff Banks and the monkey biting the kid.
You never know though. It's always in play.
But when there's burnt orange smoke, there's fire.
Mm-hmm.
What if after like a 9-3 season, maybe they go 8-4, maybe they lose to A&M. Arch Manning can't handle it. So what's he do? He transfers to the school that his sister went to, University of Virginia. And at that point, that becomes the best job in the country. He may be able to keep Tony Elliott there. I think Will Stein might go there. Marcus Arroyo might go there. Buster Faulkner might go there. You name it, that Virginia becomes a real contender in all this. I'm not saying Belichick would flip and go to like Virginia, but if Arch Manning does not have the season that is expected, like this, I'm not saying this is going to end up like the one year that Dave Clawson was the OC for Tennessee, but it could be like never again. Also, everybody's like saying like, "Oh my God, he backtracked an uncle or Grandpa Red's comments about turning pro." And everyone's like, "He's a saint, he's a cult," and I'm like, "You're a dip ass." That's basically that.
Yeah, 100%. Like you got to keep teams guessing. You can't just tell them what you're doing right now.
He answered that question perfectly. I just don't know if he can play.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't wait to see. But yeah.
So where you have me is, I think you're absolutely right because you look at this schedule. If they lose all three of those road games, what's their best win? Is it Oklahoma, Red River?
No.
A&M, like that's not a college football playoff resume for a 9-win team. It's just not.
No.
So you absolutely have me there. Where you lose me is I'm doing my little I got a tick, I think. I moved to the side a little bit whenever I'm cooking a little bit. I got a better spot than Virginia. And it's not something that would make me happy. Well, personally. Like I'm not saying he would go to North Carolina, although not out of their own possibility. Go join Bill Belichick. That'd be sick. But I believe two of his family members went to another SEC program who also have a pretty damn good offensive minded head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Arch Manning to Ole Miss.
If Uncle Payne's ego wasn't the size of the effing sun, yes, that would happen. But it is.
Arch Manning's his own man. Let's follow Uncle Eli and not Uncle Peyton. Let's go. Who has more Super Bowls with the team that drafted him?
Who got his number retired?
That's right.
But like I mentioned, like Virginia was a school that he was looking at. SMU is another one as well. Like I don't know I'm just thinking like too much smoke. We gotta go here.
No, 100%. I very much like this quite a bit.
I think like 9-3 like goes in line with your point. Like that's very possible.
Yeah, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, we're talking about a first-year quarterback. I don't care who he is.
I think it's just like there's so much high variance with all these teams because most of these are 18 to 23-year-olds, man.
I mean, and like you said, like what I was saying led right into that because like my mind is in a Dan Wetzel pretzel because like I'm looking at this and I'm just like, I can't trust any of these teams. I can't put my like my faith in it, like, I think that's why honestly, when you like, if you want to play armchair psychologist, I think that's why we look at a team like South Carolina and are so high on them and are so excited by them, because like they might not be as good as they were last year, but I feel pretty comfortable in what their floor is. Like,
Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable that Lenora Sellers has them at probably an 8-win floor.
It's like, but that's Texas operating at its floor, which is 9-3.
Right,
Which is
100%.
possible, but like that's a big if, asking if, like, Florida's gonna hold their own.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like, I mean, is Billy Napier the head coach? Or like, is he on the hot seat by that point? We don't know these things. Predicting college football is hard. That's what I'm coming down on this with.
Cook my brain here. So before we move on and say a few more things, what was your favorite one of mine? And I'll say your favorite of yours.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I really like going back to it. I really like the Oklahoma. Like, I think I I can't get past the idea that Brent Venables is in a lot more trouble than people want to talk about this year. Has nothing to do with what we think about Oklahoma. Like, we like the John Mateer and Arbuckle hires. We like bringing in Ott. We like what they've done to better themselves from a disastrous 2024. But when an AD who is as entrenched as Castiglione is in Norman is leaving and announces that, and you have a head coach who has been a massive disappointment to this point, all bets are off. And like, do I think it's Jeff Lebby? Not really. But is it out of the realm of possibility? Absolutely not.
I definitely like yours. Just JB Chadwell and Hugh Freeze playing tag.
It's by far the dumbest one I have, but it could happen. You watched Angels in the Outfield the other night. It can happen.
It can happen. JP's coming too.
That's right.
Before we get out of here, we are doing 3 yards in a cloud of punt this weekend. It's probably just going to be you doing a solo show, but it's going to be after Farmageddon, Iowa State, K-State. We didn't do it on the show last time. I guess let's make a pick real quick for the signature game of week 0.
Oh, good call. I'm gonna go Iowa State, man. I think Matt Campbell is not the ideal matchup for Avery Johnson, quite frankly.
And because I did all the list here, I've got Iowa State winning as well. Don't trust the teeny bopper. This is maybe his first time away from home. Rocco back. I mean, Rocco's thriving Dublin, dude.
He's gonna have to call his mom at halftime to check in, make sure everything's going okay.
I mean, I said K-State's got this right before we came on here talking to the boss man, Zach Best, but that's okay.
Look, you got to placate Zach Best every now and then.
You do, and the real winner is Antonio Banderas. That's
never lost, never lost.
Never lost, never lost, never lost, because this was episode 200 and what was it, 202?
It's 202. Yeah, we got the palindrome going today, baby.
Palindrome. False start. This was the big dumper. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter or the X at Buhler118. You can follow Cody Williams at the Sizzle20. You can follow the show at CFB False Start. Like, rate, listen, subscribe, review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Give us a 5-star review, please. I hope my microphone doesn't fall. I got to reach for the viewers back home. I kind of this is wild.
I love it so much.
I know. We could have used this to make like something in the air fryer, but
you still really can. It's still not unusable.
No, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Like you're punching your ticket to go to Dublin this weekend.
Punch it like Hugh Freeze in a hospital bed calling a nurse.
I will remember you.
That's right.
And before we get out of here, can you join me in a slight prayer here?
Yeah. Oh, always.
We know there are other dimensions in this one, but this is the one where we live, and we will not live in fear, because this is False Start.